So, welcome in everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're really excited to be here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started.
Some fun content today.
Yeah, yeah. So what are we doing here today?
Who knows?
We,
We never know, really.
you're right. Sometimes we don't actually. If you registered and you're attending this morning or afternoon, you're likely looking for some good strategy for getting into the new year. How can you transform your business? How can you grow your business? And we here at Bold Academy want to help you achieve those goals. So today we're going to dive into what is Bold Academy, give you a sneak peek at the kind of things that we're working on here and how that can help you support your goals. We are going to introduce you to some new concepts, and we'll talk through some strategies that you can be thinking about and create some strategies around implementing into your business for lead generation, lead engagement, and your referrals and branding piece of business. I am a coach. My name is Natalie Urianza. I've been in the real estate tech industry for about 10 years now, and I've had the opportunity to work in many different parts of the business, customer facing, with brokers and agents, in training, in all sorts of different kinds of roles. And so I feel like I'm very equipped and have a really unique understanding of how you approach business and the kind of challenges that you run into. And then just being able to help you understand how you can strategize and implement the software into your business to help you be successful. We've also got Jack Markham here with us. Jack, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Well, I won't date myself and tell you how long I've been in the industry. It's been a long time. So definitely over 10 years. I've had the pleasure of really, I guess, really coaching and really working with agents, teams, brokers across different markets, Canada, in this space. I think that, transforming taking actionable items and transforming that into business is probably like kind of my expertise. Building profitable sales teams or follow-up process or even lead generation. Those are the things that probably are my strengths. But yeah, I'm excited for the content, excited to kind of get in front of everybody and kind of look, this is a perfect time of year. January, it is time to kick things off in the new year, right? So it's fun.
Yeah, super fun. Great time to really get in front of everything. Jack, do you want to talk us through what is Bold Academy?
Yeah, so Bold Academy, I think we get this a lot, right? What's the difference of training that I get on Bold Trail or KB Core and Bold Academy? So Bold Academy is something we launched recently. We launched September of 2024, and it is coaching. So it is not training. Training is how to, coaching is how do you take that how to and implement it into strategy. So it does complement some of the training, but it's not training, it is coaching. It is powered by Inside Real Estate. But really, where we focus is equipping your business with the right tools and expert guidance to really transform and guide your business to get growth. So I think really maximizing and optimizing ROI, return on investment, increasing your GCI, which is gross commission income, and really like increasing your market share. How do you, like, if you look at 2025, what's your transaction goal? Hopefully, it's an increase of what it was in 2024. Bold Academy is that program that we've created to help you get there. And so, what we've done is we've put together really a pretty good coaching program in general. And so, if you look at the entire year, every single month, you get 2 live coaching webinars each month. You get 3 or more on-demand content every month. You get an exclusive community that not only you get access to the coaches like Natalie and I, but you also get access to peers and other members and talk about other strategies that are working in different markets. You get community live events. So Natalie and I go on there quite a bit and share things a lot. So not only the live stuff and the on-demand, we also do the community live stuff as well. And then we have launched a monthly newsletter. There is accountability and activity tracking, which we are going to cover a little bit today, and interactive business planning, which is uh, probably one of the funnest things to do as we kind of help you form your business. And again, it's not just doing a business plan in January and say, okay, set it and forget it, right? Most of you know that's not how this business works. We wish it would, but it doesn't work that way. And so what I mean by interactive is you create this business plan, and then along the way, as roadblocks come up, as changes come up, we know the market, right? This market is not set it and forget it. Changes come up a lot in this industry. And so you have to have the ability to have your business plan be interactive so that you can make tweaks to that. And so that's really where we coach. That's really where we help drive that productivity across our members.
Yes. Thank you, Jack. All right. Do you want to talk through this slide? I know we've got our community we talked about, and then some of the products. I think we just wanted to show a few of the items here that are kind of exclusive content where you get access to. And like Jack said, the difference really is, everybody's got access to the product training, and that's very important. And you definitely need to learn how the products work. But you can see some of the content on here are more strategic things like building video confidence, how to have better email deliverability, things that are going to be a little bit more strategic, tactical, that you can implement into your business that's going to give you a leg up.
Yeah, and there is a learning portal. So it's not just Natalie and I talking at you and you have to try to remember all this. That we do have a learning portal that's built in. And so part of being a member to Bold Academy is you get access to this learning portal. And then this learning portal, there are courses. There's the live courses, there's on-demand courses, there's resources. And so this is your spot to kind of log in, not only track your accountability, track your business planning, get access to the community, but this is where you go back and replay some of the sessions that you get access to. So there is a learning portal. Um, Also, in that learning portal, I talked about this community. If you go to the next slide, Natalie, I kind of put a screenshot of, look, this is the live community that is built into the portal. So it's not a Facebook community. The reason we chose not to do a Facebook community is I think things get lost in Facebook a lot. There's so much distraction on Facebook that we decided that we're going to have our community built into the portal. One, we think you should be going as a member, you should be going to that portal to get your content, to get the resources, the downloads, things like that. If you're really transforming your business, part of our job is to help you hold you accountable. And so this is going to drive you back into the portal, but this is where also you get a lot of content from us in this exclusive community, and there's no distractions around this, meaning there's no Facebook to get distracted by this and what's going on here. This is really it's really designed to keep you laser focused on what you need to do in your business. Our job is to make sure that you are increasing your GCI, increasing your transactions. And so that's kind of what you'll see is the focus built into this program.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. We've got a really great community already. And I've seen a lot of camaraderie in the community where, we'll do some accountability kind of tasks or challenges, and we're seeing people really collaborate, even people who aren't a part of the same team. That's been really cool. It's also a great way to connect with Jack and I and any other coaches that we have or will bring on in the near future, and get your more strategic questions kind of asked or bring up topics. And this is a direct line of communication where we're seeing what you're saying and we're responding to directly. So
Yeah, I think Suzanne has a good question. How is Bold Academy related to Bold Trail? Well, Bold Trail is your system. Bold Academy, again, Bold Trail is your system powered by Inside Real Estate, right? Bold Academy is a coaching program that we developed here at Inside Real Estate, and it's to help you get the most out of Bold Trail. So again, you have training on the how to use Bold Trail. Bold Academy, Suzanne, is to really take that how to and then take it and put it in your business plan so you can execute that. And so really a lot of the things that we go through in the coaching ties back to your Bold Trail so you can get the most out of that. And so that's really how it ties into Bold Trail.
thank
The
you.
portal, if you're talking about the Bold Academy portal, once you're a member, you get login information to the portal. So it wouldn't be through Max Tech. Max Tech is your system powered by Inside Real Estate. Bold Academy is a separate portal that we would give you access to. All
But
right,
you do access the portal through your
you do
Mac.
through Max Tech. It would be in the marketplace. If you, in fact, Jets, if you logged in right now to your Max Tech and go to marketplace, you'll see Bold Academy. you'll see a button and a tile there for Bold Academy, and you can learn more right there. And that's how you would sign up as well.
And in case anyone has not transitioned to Bold Trail yet, if you're still on a platform powered by KV Core, you can still access this as
Yep.
well. Just want to
Yep.
point that out. So,
Yep. All right, let's get into some content. So I know
all
like
right.
everyone has a lot of questions. We'll come back and I'll make sure not every question, because there's a lot of you in the class today. But we'll get to as many questions as we can. I want to make sure that all of you are getting some content, because as Natalie and I are putting this together, we're kind of excited because I feel like this is really good content and give you a starting point of, okay, what do I need to really start thinking about in 2025, right?
Yes.
So this
Okay.
first part is really like the business you're building. And I think this is a good slide, Natalie, because a lot of times as we build our business, we get lost in the shuffle and we're trying to do quick wins, right? Like real
Yes.
estate is sales. Even though we're more service oriented, we're making sales. And a lot of times, salespeople in general, and I've managed a lot of companies and sales teams, specifically in this industry. And so what I always find is that we're always looking for the quick wins sometimes, and we lose sight of that longevity. How am I building a strong foundation? And a lot of this is below the water. So if you think about this as an iceberg, yes, we're all focused on that profit and productivity, and I think it's super important. But if we're not building the foundation underneath the water, then we can never then get to that profit and productivity. And so what we try to focus on in Bold Academy, and you'll see in here, is what are we building beneath? Some of the purpose and priorities that you need to set in your business and focus on will then get you the things that you want, right? So think about it as that's your long-term want, but what are the goals that get you there, right? And so that's really what we're trying to build here. Not quick wins, right? Not quick wins, but how do you build a sustainable business, a scalable business that you can kind of avoid these peaks and valleys? We know the market is up and down, but there are ways, and we have several clients that I'm very close to over the years that they don't experience these peak and valleys no matter what the market does. It's a pretty sustainable business. There's a way to build that, right? And there's a way to build that, and we'll go through some of this, but that's what we're trying to do is how do we avoid the peaks and valleys? How do we avoid the ups and downs of this industry, right? And if we can get there, then this truly becomes fun, right? Because helping people get into homes is truly why we're all here, and we enjoy that. What we don't enjoy is the peaks and valleys. So if there's a way to eliminate that, think about that. That's the perfect world. So that's the goal. How do we get there?
Yeah. Yeah. I always think of this too, like it's a marathon versus a sprint, right?
Yep.
So building on these foundational kind of items helps you plan for the marathon, and it gives you these wins over time that are a lot more consistent. When we're focused solely on what we can see right now, those are your quick wins, and we love those because they, probably give us some dopamine and make us feel really satisfied. We've got that instant gratification. But if that's all we're focused on, it can feel like feast or famine at times, where when we come in with these fundamental layers and we're focused on building our business out in this more intentional way, you are feeling that consistency, and the success feels more fulfilling, I guess.
Yeah, it does. It does for sure.
So talk to us about this plateau of latent potential.
This is a big one. This hopefully this is a light bulb moment a little bit, and I think that this is kind of what gets us into trouble when we start planning our business, because as we start planning our business, we start implementing things like lead generation, lead follow up, um, could be branding. I'm gonna do could be even referrals, right? I talk to a lot of agents and they have this referral process that they're excited to kick off. I'm gonna get more referrals this year, and they kick it off, and you see that expectation line, those are expectations. Very high. We always have a high bar when it comes to expectations. But look at this disappointment zone. Every single time there will be a disappointment zone. What has to happen here is that you have to outride that. You have to go through that disappointment zone to get to the expectations, right? You expect to be here, but you're really here in the reality. And the truth is, a lot of times in this business, what I see and the failure rate in this business is due to we give up before we hit the expectations. We give up in this disappointment zone and we say that's not working. It's too much work. It's not working. I'm not seeing the results that I want. And so what I want you to focus on in 2025, whatever you're implementing, whatever new things you're implementing, whether it's a referral process, whether it's look, I'm going to get more out of my contact database, I'm going to get more repeat business, whatever you do, put that plan down on paper and then stick to it. Have measurements and KPIs to know that I'm on track. It might not hit expectations right away, but there will be some things that you can look at that says I'm on track. Those are called KPIs. Am I on track to get to where I think expectations should be? Because the problem is we give up before we actually get to the point where we're winning, right? We're getting the return on investment. And so I think this is a big one to understand that a lot of times when we see people fail at like lead follow up is a big one. You have great intentions where it falls apart on lead follow up or consumer follow up or even contact database follow up is we fall off because we don't see instant results. We don't see the quick wins. And so therefore it must not be working and we give up. And so what I would say is anything you're implementing this year, keep this graph in your head. I'm going to ride this out, right? But you got to be tracking it to know. You got to have a scoreboard to know is like, am I on track or am I not on track? There are times to pivot, but again, most of us give up way too quick before we hit expectations.
And there are indicators, and we're going to teach you how you can spot those indicators that tell you what you're doing is working, right? Like Jack said, it sometimes feels like there's nothing going on. It's like bamboo takes what, 5 years? You water it for 5 years and then it finally starts growing. We know because of science that it takes that long. We know what's happening under the ground, even though we can't see it. And it's the same kind of concept with your leads. We know now because we've been able to look at so much data in the CRM with agents who are nurturing leads. We've got all these stats now that we can say, all right, if you're doing this, we know it's working because of XYZ, and we'll be able to help point out some of those indicators for you.
Yep. Yep.
So the foundation for growth.
Yeah, so that we talk a lot about this. If you are a member or you plan on becoming a member of Bold Academy, you hear this a lot. This is really the foundation of which we coach upon. I think there are three pillars in your business that you really have to focus on. And so I always say, like in 2025, whether you're a member of Bold Academy or not, we're giving you this content for a reason. I do think if you can build your business plan, you can build your focus around these three pillars, you will see success on the other end. I've been doing this a long time, and this has been my foundation that I've been coaching for a long, long time, and I've seen the success on the other end when you have dedication around these three pillars. So the first one is being found. The ability to be found by today's consumer. Think about that for a minute. How are you being found? Right? Like consumers aren't just going to find you just because you're a real estate agent, right? The days of them picking up the phone book and calling real estate agents, those are long gone, right? And so you do have to be found by today's consumer. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. Then you have to be connected. And I really think this comes down to conversations. Leads are great. Contacts, growing your contact database, great. That is a strategy, and we'll talk about that in the Be Found section. But if you can't generate conversations from there, you're never going to get a return on investment, ever, right? Your business will never grow. And so, really, how are you getting connected to these consumers? And then, if you think about that consumer timeline, so there's two parts of the Be Involved. There's the consumer timeline, which is on average 24 to 27 months for a consumer to become a lead to transaction. So how are you staying involved in that timeline? That's a long time for you to stay relevant with a consumer and earn a transaction. The other piece of that is how are you staying involved with your clients that you've sold? We use this term in this industry as past clients, but they're not past clients. It's a book of business. There are clients that you've sold to, and they're going to be clients again. They're going to buy and sell again. You want to be there for that. You want to turn that into a book of business similar to a lawyer, right? A lawyer has a book of business. Insurance agents have a book of business. There's no reason in this industry we should not have our own book of business. The The problem is we don't do enough to stay involved. We don't provide enough relevant content to stay involved as that real estate or neighborhood expert, right? And so those really become the focus point as you build your business, or even, I try to simplify it. If you only had three things to focus on in 2025, these would be the things that you'd want to focus on.
Yes. And I know we're going to dive into each of these. Before I move on, though, I'm getting a lot of questions about how do I find this in my marketplace and what is the cost. I promise you, we will show you where to find it. I just don't want anyone getting distracted by the location. We've got time dedicated to show you where that's at the end of the session. Okay. So
You're in good
don't,
hands. You're in good hands, people. You're in good
yeah,
hands. We
we're
got you.
going to take care of you. So I know, Jack, you talked about the foundation for growth and being found. I know this is where we're going to start.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I think this is probably something our audience hears all the time. Lead generation, how do you get found? And I think what they're missing is some of the information you're about to dive into. Was there anything that you wanted to cover on this slide before I click over to our next one?
I think the only thing is you'll see on here is what strategies are driving consumers to your store, and you're probably wondering what store. So this is what I refer to website. So imagine we're not in real estate. Imagine all of us own a coffee store. The strategies that we would do to be found are no different than we would do as a real estate agent versus owning a coffee store, right? If we owned a coffee store, the first thing you try to figure out is what location should this coffee store be at? Because you want to be found. Location matters, right? Location, location, location. Then once you have the location, how am I going to get people to drive and stop as they're driving or to come to this coffee store? Now I want you to think about you have that same ability as an agent. Your website is your store. What I want you to think about is turn it into a store. There's aisles and aisles in your website of content that consumers want, pictures and details of homes, neighborhood demographics, right? Market reports. There are a ton of information in there. And so I need you to think about it as a store. There's aisles and aisles of content. How do I bring people into this store so that they're getting content from me and they're not getting it from other agents or they're not getting it from other places, right? That's how you should think about the ability to be found. That's what I'm talking about. Take your storefront, get consumers to your storefront.
Yes, thank you.
And so in doing that, I believe you have to diversify your lead generation. And so I also believe that you can't go out and say, well, I'm just going to throw money at the problem and that's going to solve it, right? So that is not what I'm saying. I do think that you have to do both time and money to do lead generation in this business. Now, the good news is all of you run your business a little different. So all of you get to decide how much time versus money you want to spend at generating leads. But you've got to do both. And you've got to be focused at it and you've got to be dedicated at it, right? And you've got to be committed to whatever you've decided those strategies are going to be. You've got to commit to that. So there's a lot of ways to do that, time or money, right? You could do the paid advertising on social or the search engines. Those are two probably the best ways to really drive leads or consumers to your store. Those are probably two of the best ways. But there's also some other ways that are free, right? There are still blogging. There are still other things to do to get that out there. And I'm thinking outside the box, but and this probably does cost a little bit of money, but like I've talked to a lot of agents that would put their QR code on shopping carts and that drives them to the store. It's, again, think about those billboard ads 20 years ago. It was Jack Markham Real Estate, call me and I'll help you buy a house. We don't see a lot of those anymore, right? Now, if you were to do a billboard, it's not about calling you. That's the call of action that died. The call of action of calling you died. What you really need to do, the real call of action is come to my store, right? And so think about that QR code on the shopping cart. Where's that QR driving them to? Right in front of content. What do we know about consumers? We know they want pictures and details of homes. So give it to them, right? And so think about your lead generation. Door knocking. Door knocking is not dead. The call of action of door knocking and giving someone a flyer with your phone number on it, that's dead. Can you door knock and get people exposing to your store? Can you do that? Yes, yes. I know a lot of agents that still do that or have teams that help them do that. So it's thinking outside the box. How do I get people to my store? I think diversifying that and having probably 4 or 5 different sources where you're generating leads is probably the key.
Yeah, and I mean, just on that note, I think if we think about who our audience is and who are our buyers and sellers in the market, we've become as much as we've become more social online, we've actually become less social in person, to Jack's point. So, giving them your phone number, they're less likely to call you unless they're like really, really rip roaring and ready to go. And I know we'll dive into that a little bit more, Jack, with the consumer
Yeah.
time. But giving them your website feels a lot less scary and intrusive. And it's a call to action that they're like, okay, I could go online and check this out, right? So I love that. The other thing I want to point out too, as we flip over to this other slide, is the reason for diversification is because when you're getting leads from different sources, they're coming in different places in the funnel, right?
They are. Depending where you're meeting leads. So let's take door knocking. And let's take generating leads off Google, so search engines, right? Using keywords to drive leads off search engines. Door knocking, where do you think that fits on the funnel? It's probably very top of the funnel, right? Very, very top of the funnel. However, the Google leads, because of keywords, you can get really middle of the funnel, right? And so if you had both of those as that, and then you trickled in social media, now you're meeting people all throughout this funnel, and that's really, again, if you just put your eggs in one basket, so like, oh, I'm only going to focus at the bottom of the funnel. Great. You're not going to get a lot of leads though, but the leads you get will be great. You're just not going to get a lot to fuel your growth, and so that's why you add these different aspects to your business into this funnel. One thing to think about here is most agents here, if you think about the average agent in this business, they generate less than 10 new leads a month. So I don't know how many leads, and maybe it's a good idea to say how many new leads per month are all of you generating right now? Do you know that? And go ahead and chat in if you want to. But the average agent in this business generates 10 or less leads, new leads a month. So if you think about that for a minute, understand this funnel for a minute. If you plugged in 10 leads here, out of 10 leads, how many contacts or prospects do you think you're getting out of those 10 leads? So you got 10 leads. How many prospects or contacts do you think you're getting out of those 10 leads? 2 or 3? Okay. 0? 1?
Maybe a little bit more explanation
Yeah.
on what do we
Yeah.
consider
So I think like if I generate 10 leads, what I'm saying is out of 10 leads, how many of those are going to be legitimate contacts where I'm probably like there's at least a person on the other end where they've answered an email, right? And so in this business, what you'll find is 10 leads is going to get you roughly about 4 contacts. Okay. If you're doing things right, 10 leads should be about 4 contacts. Out of 4 contacts, how many of those contacts are actually going to be active consumers? And when I say active consumers, that means there's back and forth conversations happening, right? They're active. You hear from them, they're on your website, they're reaching out, they're responding to your text messages. Out of 4, how many? 1 out of 4? Okay, one. Okay, pretty fair, right?
I feel like this group is pretty sharp, and I think
Yeah.
maybe we're getting those low responses because they're already doing that math of what's the reality, right? And
Yeah,
that's
the reality is out of that one active consumer, is that one consumer motivated? Right? Meaning motivated, meaning they're ready to go right now, sign in the yard, or they're ready to make an offer on a house. And then what does that leave you transactions? You can quickly see, why do most real estate agents fail in this business? They do not generate enough leads to fuel their transaction goals or their GCI goal, period. That is the number one failure in this business. Not enough leads. If you plugged 40 leads instead of 10 leads, you would get very different numbers. And so what I'm telling you is, how many of you know what your magic number is? So all of you, I'm assuming all of you have goals for 2025. It's probably a transaction goal or it's a GCI goal, gross commission income goal, right? Do you know how many leads every month it will take to hit that number? Do you know your magic number? Because if you don't know how many leads it takes to get to your transaction goal, you will not hit them. That's the reality. That's the reality in this business, right? And somewhere along the way, you'll realize that you're off track, and you'll want to, well, I got to fix this. I got to fix this. But really, if you really want to do this the right way, you work backwards. What's my transaction goal? What's my GCI goal? How many leads does it take to fuel the business? Where do those leads need to come from? So we've put together a 2025 lead generation calculator. All you have to do is plug in your GCI goal, your average sale price, compensation percentage, split percentage, and your average lead conversion, right? So if you don't know that, you can use the national average, which is, between 1 and 3%. I put 2% on here. This will tell you exactly how many leads you need in your business to fuel. This will also tell you what the lead mix you should be looking at, right? Down to organic, paid, social, referral leads. What mix should I be looking at? Also, how do I track them, right? How do I track them every month to let myself know that I'm on track, that I'm doing the right things, I'm seeing the right results, right? Super important that you have to know your number. Otherwise, none of your other goals make sense. You have to work backwards in order to identify that.
Yeah, and as we're talking about that too, I see a lot of people saying, yes, I know how many leads I need to generate. What I love, Jack, is your concept of where these leads should be coming from. And just like we talked about in the funnel, we want diversity so that we're filling in different pieces of our funnel. That's what really creates the stability and the foundation for your pipeline.
Yeah, I think it's again, I've been around a lot of agents that, well, I'll go spend a ton of money on lead generation, and it's like the problem with that is if you're not prepared for that, the pressure you put on yourself, you're not going to respond to those leads very well because you need quick wins out of those leads. And if you know anything about today's consumer, that's just not where it fits on their timeline, and we'll get to that in a minute. So I think it's really understanding how do I really put together a strong lead generation plan? So I think it's 30% from in-house lead generation. What do I mean by that? I mean, what are you doing to drive people directly to your website that don't know you today? So that's the search engines, that's the social, whether it's paid or organic, Craigslist, print, door knocking, QR codes, whatever you're doing, what are you doing to drive consumers to your store? That is what I call in-house. I think 30% should be coming from that. That's not all paid, right? Some of that's free. Then I think it's 40% from your sphere. I think that most of you have several transactions in your contact database that you just got to work and you got to be dedicated there. And so it's not about spending a bunch of money on leads. It's mixing that, spending some money and time on lead generation, but also working what you have. And so I think it's engaging with 30 contacts each week, right? Providing relevant content with the goal is not to contact you to have a conversation, but to drive them back to your website and put them in front of relevant content. This could also include friends or family, right? Think about your local market. Think about your contact database. Are you letting them just go search Zillow and hope they'll contact you? Because I promise you that's not going to happen. If they go on Zillow, they're meeting 8 to 10 different agents. You've got to make sure that you're providing that relevant content. And then I think, look, I do think the portals, I say 30% or less come from portals. The more Zillow pushes Follow Up Boss, as is you have to use Follow Up Boss in order to do their lead generation. Maybe I pull back on this a little bit, but I think the good mix that has worked in the past is 30% in-house, 40% sphere. And if I want to do portals, it's 20 or 30%. That makes up a pretty good portfolio of lead generation.
Yeah, I agree. So I think that covers our lead generation kind of aspect. And as we move into the next phase here, where we're going to start talking about more lead engagement, I guess I would just ask you to really think about those mixtures and the lead diversification. Think about what you're doing today and how maybe that changes your plans for your future lead generation efforts.
Yeah, I would. So look, if as we move into this like be connected conversation, I'm going to ask everybody, what is your number one goal when you generate a lead? So let's say everybody generated a lead today. Google, social media, doesn't matter. What's your number one goal? Lead comes into your business. What's your number one goal as a real estate agent? To close the deal, follow up, Regina convert, get appointments, face to face, closing table, close the deal. James, very good. Respond, build relationship, close a transaction, convert, build, convert. Okay, so listen, this is kind of these concepts that I need you to adopt. And again, I've been teaching this a long time, and the clients that really go all in on this and adopt this will see a huge transformation in their business. Like I said, lead generation is important. It is the number one reason why agents fail, without a doubt. However, if you cannot get conversations and you cannot turn leads into conversations and then into transactions, you are going to waste a lot of money and time in this business while you fail, and that sucks, right? So what I want you to understand is your number one goal when you generate a lead, and all of you had great responses. None of you are wrong. But what I want you to think about is those are all end results. That is the end result. If if we all went on a first date tonight and we asked that person to marry us at the end of date one, how do you think that would go? Probably not good, right? So your number one goal when you generate the lead it can't be to convert them. That's the end result. We got to get there. We got to build a relationship. Yes, yes. We got to get to the closing table. Absolutely. Yes, we got to follow up. Absolutely. The number one goal, though, when you generate a lead, is you got to stop the search. You have to. You have to stop their search. The average consumer becomes a lead 8 to 10 times before talking to an agent. If you cannot stop their search, they will find another agent, and they will continue to find another agent over and over and over. The first thing you have to do when you generate a lead is you have to make sure you stop the search. You have to make sure you can eliminate the competition, that you can increase your engagement probability, and provide relevant content. So portals, again, perfect example. How many, if you logged on to Zillow right now and looked at a listing, how many agents are you going to be in front of? On average, probably 4 to 5 every listing. You can generate leads on the portal, but then figure out, how do I stop their search? And what do I mean by that? You got to get them back to your website, right? You have to get them back to your website. Stop the search. What is the number one driver of a consumer? Is pictures and details of homes. Give it to them, right? If we're not stopping the search, we're never going to get to these end results, which is conversion, follow-up, building relationship, right? Got to make sure that your consumers that come across your business, your brand, and you generate that lead, they can't become a lead 8 to 10 times, right? You've got to stop that search. Does that make sense? Hopefully that sank in. I think that's a big one. It's a big one. And once you adopt it and once you go all in, you will see a huge difference and transformation in your business because you will look at things different. Now you won't try to, well, I got to get them to call me. I got to get them to talk to me. No, let me get them on my website. Let me get them here, getting content here. Let me stop their search. Let me eliminate, let me box out all these other agents so they're not meeting anyone else and they're only getting content from me. Here's the consumer timeline. So I don't know how many of you really understand this consumer timeline, but I can give you this snapshot of the consumer timeline, and then right next to it, what's your timeline? Your timeline is phase 3. You live in phase 3. You love phase 3. As a real estate agent, your whole business is in phase 3. So what happens? 80% of the leads that we generate in this business are in phase 1. You're in phase 3. So what happens is we try to force people into phase 3. And then what happens? They go meet someone else. We have to understand that when we generate leads, most of the time they're in phase one, sometimes in phase two. The closer consumers are to phase one, it is all about relevant content, not about value proposition. It's all about relevant content. Feed them relevant content and influence them down the timeline. You cannot force someone to be in phase three. However, because we're privy to so much information, we're around transactions all the time, we're experts in this industry, we can educate, we can influence consumers, and we can influence them down this timeline a little quicker. But the average is 21 to 27 months. That's a long time to stay relevant. What are you doing, right? What are you doing with these phase one leads to make sure that you get to that end result? And I promise you right now, if you try to force them in phase three, they're gone. That lead that you paid money on, or that lead that you spent time on, they're going to go talk to someone else. So we really have to understand there is no such thing as a bad lead. You have to adopt that. There's no such thing as a bad lead. The difference between leads is where are they in the customer journey? That makes a huge difference. In phase one, consumers don't want to talk to you. Why they hopped online. It's why 98% of searches start online. I can hide behind the wall of the internet, I can gather content, and I don't have to talk to a salesperson. Right? We do the same thing when we go to car lots, don't we? We drive to a car lot, the salespeople swarm us, and what do? Do you need help? Nope, nope, nope. Can I help you? No, no, I don't need any help. We do the same thing. Give them content. This is where you can really make an impact in your business.
Yeah, and a lot of people have probably done a ton of research online already, even going into a car lot or going into Best Buy or some, electronics. They're doing a lot of that research online, and they're only going in to talk to you because they have questions they can't answer on their own or they want an expert opinion. It's the same thing here in the real estate industry. The more you can commit yourself to understanding this consumer timeline and what your consumers want and need in each different phase, the more effective you're going to be at getting those conversations.
Like I said, understanding today's consumer is a big part of this, right? 9 out of 10 consumers start their search online. Why? Think about that for a minute. Why did they start their search online? It was not like, again, we have to take egos out of here. They don't want to talk to us. That's the reality. The quicker I realize that, the better off I'll be at running my business, because I know they don't want to talk to me. So how do I get them to talk to me? Right? I mean, that's really what we're trying to solve, because if they really wanted to talk to us, they'd pick up the phone book and they'd call a real estate agent. The truth is they go online to hide behind this wall, get all this content because they have access to it now. 20 years ago, they didn't. 20 years ago, we drove. We were in the driver's seat. Now they're in the driver's seat, which is fine. We just have to adapt our business to that. 92% of transactions originate online. So you do have to get connected online, but you have to understand what happens when they come online. How do I get them to me and my brand? And then how do I get a conversation, right? Pictures and details of homes, the number one driver. Like I said, they hide behind the wall of the internet to gather content. There's 4 or 5 now different demographics consumers are shopping today. So it's not just how do I get in front of more buyers or sellers, right? There's Gen Z, there's Gen X, there's millennials, there's baby boomers, all shop different, all have different needs and wants, all looking at different types of homes, right? All have different types of needs. And so you do have to kind of spend some time and go deeper there, or really understand which 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 demographic are you really going after to tailor that relevant content, right? 72% consumers work with the first agent they talk to. Think about that for a minute. 72% work with the first agent they talk to. This is why driving conversations has to become the number one goal of your business in 2025, right? Got to have the leads, but you got to have the conversations. Otherwise, leads don't fuel transactions, conversations do, right? And so really think about how much personalized information is on these phones today. You all have it. You have Facebook, probably Spotify, Netflix, right? YouTube, whatever you use, it's so personalized to you. That's what we expect as consumers. You have to personalize that experience for the consumers when they come across your brand and your business. And so that isn't value proposition of how great we are as an agent. It really is truly about how can I serve you relevant content because I understand what you're looking for. And I'm going to continue to feed you, knowing that eventually we're going to have a conversation, right? That's truly how you drive more leads to conversations.
Yes, so important. The long-term nurturing especially. And I know we need to probably crank up to 2 times speed here, so I'll try to make less comments, but I do think that's super important. We realize people are looking for a personalized experience. They are being contacted multiple times. And so your job is to figure out how you can be the person that they want to keep coming back to. You're the person who's top of mind. You're the resource for them. You're the one who is not pushing them, but you're walking with them and you're influencing them through their timeline.
Yeah.
So for driving engagement, can we talk through these? I know these are probably things that people have heard over and over and over, but Jack, if you can highlight some of the main reasons why these are so effective.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I highlighted the 4 strategies that I think in your system. So whether you have Max Tack, Bold Trail, or you're still on KV Core, it's really the same. You have these same strategies built into your system. These already exist in your system, and I think it's utilizing search alerts. Why? Because it's the most relevant content to the consumer. Listings are, right? And so think about that. 9 out of 10 consumers start their search online just to get pictures and details of homes. So give it to them, right? Drive the consumer back to your site by using search alerts. How many of your contacts in your database today are on search alerts? You've got to have a goal of 100%. And I know you're not going to get to 100%, but if you're at 30% right now, you're failing. Like this is one thing that the system will do for you, right? The system will automatically drive these people back to your site with search alerts as long as a great portion of your contact database is on search alerts. So this is something that you want to make sure all the leads that come into your business and all your contacts in your database are on search alerts, right? It's that automation that helps you, right? Scale yourself. Monthly market reports. This is consistent technology that also drives people back to your store. Opens windows of relevant information, right? Because you'll get someone that says, "Yeah, this market report, this really seems off," or "Wow, this is great information." Those are all talking points. They're reaching out to you, right? What's our goal? We spend so much time chasing leads. Wouldn't it be nice if we spent less time chasing leads and they contacted us? These are ways to do that. The more relevant content you put in front of them gives them reason to reach out to you. That's a better position to be in, right? How many of you know similar or nearby listings? So as you look at leads come into your business, you can go on the dashboard, you can pull up that lead and you can see what drove them to your website. Typically it's a listing, it's a picture and detail of home. Click on that listing and there'll be 2 tabs that say similar listings and nearby listings. Use that. If I know Natalie was on my website and she looked at a 4-bedroom home in this zip code, great. Let me see what else is nearby, or let me see what else is similar so I can send that to Natalie. I'm going to craft an email that says, "Hey, Natalie, thanks for registering on my website. I noticed you looked at 123 Main Street. Here's 2 other houses that are really similar and are close by that I don't think you saw. Let me know what your thoughts are." Guess where that link goes? Back to my website. Now Natalie is back on my website looking at more listings. That's relevant content. I know what she's kind of interested in. I'm going to put more of that in front of her and try to get her back to my website. And then I think it's the smart campaigns, right? Being able to scale your conversation. So it's smart campaigns. And I think how many of you know behavioral automation? You can go into behavioral automation and kind of have the system work on your behalf. That's what you need to do, right? And so those are things to go check out to kind of help yourself drive better lead engagement.
Yes, turn on behavioral automation. The whole reason for driving people back to your store is so that you can get insights into what they're looking at, who's active, who you should actually be spending time with when you log in, instead of chasing after people who maybe are in phase 1 and not ready to talk to yet. So yes, definitely check out behavioral automation. And if you're not using it today, go turn that on. Speaking of behaviors, do you want to talk us through behavior triggers here? And
Yeah, I put kind of this, let's follow up based on behavior triggers, right? Which is let's not just reach out, let's not say, "Hey, You still interested in buying a house? Like that, again, let's personalize the experience. That's what we all expect as consumers now. All of us are consumers. It's what we expect. So let's really spend time and personalize that experience. Let's look at how many homes they viewed. Let's look at which homes they viewed. What neighborhoods are they looking at the most, right? Has their home search activity, how active are they? How often are they on the website? What call of actions are they most interested in, or what could you put in front of them as a call to action? Do they have saved searches right now? These are all behavior triggers that the consumer is doing that is going to give you these little clues, like a little, you got to be a little FBI agent, take the clues, and this is how I'm going to get them to reach out to me because I'm going to put all this stuff in front of them.
Yes. Sorry, I'm answering questions in here. Are you ready for the next slide?
Yeah.
Great.
I'll kind of move through this next part quick.
Okay.
But this becomes your game plan. So as you start to put together, remember we went over game plan for lead generation. This is your game plan for follow-up. You have long-term nurture, you have a mid-term nurture, and you have short-term nurture. Your whole job when you generate a lead is to figure out what path this consumer's on. Where are they? Are they in phase one? Are they in phase two or in phase three? Phase one, I'm probably not going to personalize every single email I send out to them. I'm going to have the system do that. Are they on automation? Am I utilizing automation? You can't follow up with 40 new leads every single month, right? Your job is to decide, is that consumer in phase one, phase two, or phase three? Because that determines how I interact with that person. Let the system handle phase one. You are going to focus more on the phase two and phase threes, right? Because phase two and phase threes are more likely ready to have a conversation with an agent. And so you're going to personalize that outreach based on their activity. Does that make sense? This is your game plan. Again, you can go back and do this. I know we got to keep this moving because I talk too much and he always yells at me. So
You're doing great, Jack.
all right, last piece here. Be involved. What percent of repeat business do you do each year? What is your referral process with your clients, and how are you staying involved with your book of business? So go to the next slide, Natalie. Kind of want to showcase this real quick. This is the life cycle of your clients. We've talked about on the right-hand side, phase one, phase two, and phase three as a lead. Now that they become a homeowner, though, it's a different life cycle. It's a different phase. When's the best time to get a referral? In phase one. Do you have a process built on phase one? That's the best time to get a referral. Phase two. Are we still talking to them? Are we providing relevant content? What's relevant content in phase two? Living, maintenance. How are they increasing the value, right, of their home? Because guess what? Phase three is coming and they're going to want to sell and buy again. And guess what? They become a lead again. And if you're not involved in this homeowner journey, then they're going to go to another agent. 93% of consumers say they would use the same agent, only 15% do. Why? Because we fall off the face of the earth. What I'm saying in 2025, I want you to own that. I want you to build process and focus just like you do on lead generation. I want you to do it on your clients because those are the best leads we can ever generate, right? And they don't cost anything. That's the best part.
Right.
All
Yeah.
right.
And yep, I know I love this slide and this concept, and I wish we could spend more time on it. I know we have plans to dive into that more in future sessions with Bold Academy, but thanks for going through that for us, Jack.
Yeah, let's go to the next slide real quick because I
Yeah,
know we're getting
sure.
on time, and I know there's been a lot of questions on Bold Academy. This
Yes.
a lot of the content you guys had here today is what we go into great detail in Bold Academy. A lot of you have asked how much it is. It is $59. I think some of you kind of looked it up in your marketplace. Um, it's regular 79. We kind of have this early adopter in the beginning of the year for 59. But this is really what we've been talking about is there's training, which is absolutely free and you can get training. And there's taking that training to another level, which is Bold Academy, which is taking these concepts, taking the how-tos and then these concepts and forming a business plan and an execution plan and keeping you accountable on how you're striving for those transactions and GCI goals.
The other thing I wanted to, I don't know if you want to do this slide or not, Jack, but I do want to show the last slide where people
Yeah,
can see the
yeah,
access.
go to the last slide.
Okay, great. So this is your marketplace page when you're in Bold Trail or KV Core. It'll look very similar, maybe some color differences, but this Bold Academy button right here is where you can access Bold Academy. The Bold Academy tile is also here. So also, if you're having a hard time finding it for some reason, just click the search button and type in bold and we'll pop up. Okay. So there is that. And then I know our last slide, Jack, do you want to tell us
Yeah.
what this QR code
So
is here?
yeah, if you're interested in Bold Academy or want more information on Bold Academy, you can click this QR code, fill out your information. We'll reach out and give you more information on Bold Academy. But here's what's included. Again, live coaching monthly, on-demand content monthly, exclusive community, exclusive learning portal, monthly newsletter, tracking accountability, and business planning. That is kind of what you get as a package in Bold Academy. But what I would really want is if you do want more information, we're happy to kind of dive in a little bit more information for you. Click the QR code. You'll see there's a landing page there. Give us some information, and Natalie and I can either reach out by phone, text, email, and we can have a little bit more conversation on what it takes to become a member of Bold Academy, and answer any questions that you have to become a member of Bold Academy.
Yes. Yes, please reach out to us. And if I missed your question and I've got a great answer for you, I'll go through the Q&A after we close out and I'll try to reach out to you. So thanks everybody so much for joining us. And we hope you all have an excellent week.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Again, if you have questions, click that QR code. Happy to have some more conversations on Bold Academy and really how can you impact 2025? That's what this is about.
All right. See you later.
Bye everyone.